Hello and welcome to the European SharePoint Training Week, a week of live webinars, ebooks and blogs from the top SharePoint experts in the industry. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Marwan Tarek, who will be talking to you about using SharePoint 2013 search in content publishing. Remember to join in the conversation about today's webinar on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @EuropeanSB and our hashtag is ESPC14. Marwan is one of an impressive list of speakers for the European SharePoint Conference, which will take place in Barcelona, May 5th to the 8th, 2014. Go to sharepointeurope.com for more information on the 100+ sessions that will take place. All of the speakers from the European SharePoint Training Week will be there, along with the likes of Dan Holm, Jeremy Take, Michael Knoll and Joe Lowson. After the webinar, we will have questions. Type any questions you have for Marwan in the question panel in the control panel. Some questions will be selected and answered at the end of the presentation. This webinar is being recorded and you will be notified by email when it is available. And now I'm going to pass you over to our webinar presenter, Marwan Tarek. Hello, Marwan.
Hi everyone. Thanks, Mary.
Thanks, Marwan.
Okay, thank you. So everyone, you should be able to see my first slide right now. Thanks, Mary, for the opportunity for speaking today in the SharePoint Training Week and in the SharePoint Conference in Barcelona in May. Thank you. So this is our session today. It's around using SharePoint search in content publishing and how you can use it to surface any content in your SharePoint. My name is Marwan Tarek. I'm heading the consultancy team in Brightstar. We are a SharePoint system integrator focusing on SharePoint technology for building internet and websites. This is my blog URL and my Twitter account. Follow me or for any questions or any updates. I've been working with SharePoint since SharePoint Portal Server 2003. This is how it was called at these days. It was more of a portal server at these days. I've been working in Microsoft for 3 years as a SharePoint technology specialist and 5 years in VP in SharePoint server. So our session today is been focusing around the new feature in SharePoint search and how you can use this into publishing your content either in an intranet scenario, extranet, or internet scenario. So I would say it doesn't massively differ from the different scenarios. At the end, you have a piece of content that you want to publish in your home page or in a web page in your intranet. So what are the changes happened in SharePoint 2013 search? Before SharePoint 2013, we used to have SharePoint Search in SharePoint 2010, and Microsoft has acquired Fast company, the search company. They acquired them to provide the search engine. And what's happened in SharePoint 2013 that Microsoft has integrated Fast technology and the Fast search inside SharePoint search, so you don't have any more two products. It's just one product. SharePoint 2013, and one of its features is search. So when you buy SharePoint 2013, you get the search. You don't need to buy or pay for anything else. So going through high-level features on what's new in SharePoint 2013 search. So for example, this is a search results page. I'm sure some of you may have seen this slide. It's the usual Microsoft search slides, but it's very powerful because it highlights the out-of-the-box features and what you can get without any kind of customizations, just a little configuration to match your business requirements. So first thing, you start by having a search term. You can define some sort of what's called query blocks, where you are analyzing the search query and promoting some search results based on the intent of the query. So in this example over here, the user is searching for green thermal deck, and what's happened that the search understands that green thermal that the user is looking for a presentation, so it's promoting presentations with green thermal as a keyword over here. And you can also enrich your data and the search result by entity extraction, which was a feature built in the fast search. It was not in SharePoint. Now it's integrated since it's one product. So entity extraction, you can extract from your unstructured data and the content that you are indexing some entities that's available for filtering and refinement. So for example, company is a filter over here, and you can define the items in these filters based on your company taxonomy. So if it's a pharmaceutical company, it will be different. If it's engineering company, it will be different. If it's a public service or government intranet, for example, the taxonomy will be different based on the industry and the vertical you are working in. Okay. Another thing is a search suggestion. So when you start typing your keyword, SharePoint starts suggesting some keywords. So for example, I'm typing over here green thermal. It's suggesting for me green thermal analysis and design system. This is based on other users' search keywords. So there are other users in my intranet has used these keywords for their search. This is not only the suggestion you get also direct search results based on your search history. So for example, if I have typed green thermal before, and in the search results I've selected green thermal project, so SharePoint has recorded this action and it is suggesting to me at the search result directly, so I don't need to wait for the search result to come back. I can click directly on the document over here or on the site from the search box. Another thing is the people search, which is a quite powerful feature. This has been there since SharePoint 2007 and 2010. Now it's more powerful. It's integrating directly with your user profile service, and the users they can relate their profile by personal information, expertise, some data that's related to the organization, or it can be not related to the organization, like past projects, interests, member of any kind of committee or award. So you can search for people by any keyword, and this is pretty powerful in terms of providing people directory feature for your intranet, where you can search for people not necessarily by their name or phone number, but by any keyword related to their profile. Also, you can discover what content they have produced in the intranet, and you can see how they are contributing to the organization. Again, you can also have your deep refiners on the left-hand side, where you can filter the search results by any keywords or metadata like job title, department, and this is totally customizable, and you can use it based on your business scenario and your company taxonomy. In terms of searching documents, SharePoint with Office web apps, you can preview your Office documents directly in the browser, and this has been available in SharePoint 2010. When you click on a document, you can open it directly on the browser, and you can edit, you can view directly from here. And SharePoint 2013, the new thing is this preview is integrated with the search results. So you can see, for example, over here I have a presentation, and the preview is directly available over here on the hover over panel. So when you hover over one of the search results, you can find it over here. Yeah. And you can find sections inside the document, and also you can have visual refiners, and finally you can have some sort of actions related to this document, like editing, so you can edit directly, you can send by email. You don't need to download the document and send it to someone by email. You can just send it directly from this menu, and these actions can be extended to satisfy your business need. Like for example, if you want to download, or you can start a workflow, for example, on this document. Okay, so back to our original topic, how we can surface content on the internet. or in a page. There is two obvious ways that's available right now is using content search report, and this is a new one for in SharePoint 2013, where you can roll up content and display content based on the search index. And other option is cross-site publishing, where you have two different site collections. One is authoring site, and you can publish content in production site or live site through this cross-site publishing. And with this, these are the two options that we're going to explore today in our presentation. However, we don't want to forget our lovely content query report. It still exists. You can still use it. It's the same feature. I wouldn't say that there is major enhancements happen in content query report that you used to know in SharePoint 2010. It can be there. We will touch lightly on the content query report, but our main focus will be content search report and cross-site publishing. So let's go into content search report. Content search report allows you to surface information and content from your SharePoint site. As we all know, that SharePoint stores its content either in the format of files, in document libraries where you can have pages, documents, Excel sheets, PowerPoint presentation, PDFs, whatever types of file. And these files can have a metadata attached to them. Or it can be list items like announcements list, calendar, events, any kind of structured data that's available where you can have columns and fields in a list, and you can store this kind of information. SharePoint Content Search Report allows you to display this data in any page, and you can display the data or the information with its related metadata. And you can define this through some sort of query that we're going to see right now. Okay, as you see from the screenshot, you see in the Contoso Energy scenario over here, there is a recommended video. So, for example, this report is displaying videos from a video library, from assets library, and there is a query is defined to say, please display the latest 4 videos from this assets library in the home page. And also you have featured topics, which is displaying some content from a list and displaying roll-up image, title, and piece of information or description of the item itself, and it's the same configured, it's the same way. So how do you configure a content search report? Usually you have the query builder. You don't need to write a code. It's just a set of configuration where you define what is your data source. So you define in the search different data sources, like for example, you can have data source that's searching everything, literally everything in your intranet or your website, so it's searching all types of content. Or you can have specific result sources, like for example, you can be scoping your result sources to be a specific document library or news library, for example. And whoever used SharePoint 2010 search, for example, this is used search scopes. Now Microsoft renamed it to be result sources, where you can scope your search results from a specific area or based on a specific condition, for example. Another thing is you can restrict your results by app. So for example, you can say, I want everything from the news, anything that's news, but I want to restrict it to be within the current site collection or within the current site only. So you can restrict by your list or library or a specific URL. Also, you can restrict it by a tag, like a piece of metadata or navigation term, and we're going to see examples of this. Okay. Also, you can integrate this with a search box query, so you can have a small search box in your page, and it filters based on the search box query, and you can define your sort results. Okay. So, how the content search report displays its content? First thing, it displays the content through what's called display template. So, display template, this is a new way of branding your content that's surfaced on the internet. If you used the content query web part before, to be able to brand the content query web part, you had to develop XSLs and XSLTs to be able to transform the output from the content query web part into valid HTML. Microsoft has changed its strategy a little bit in how you display things and how you manage your branding, so everything now is HTML and JavaScript based. You can define this through the display templates. So you design display template for your content search report, and the display template basically is an HTML file where you specify the structure of the component, the layout of the fields, what are the style sheets. If you need any JavaScript for animation or actions, you can have this and you can just use this display template. However, the display template is there is two types of display templates in the content search report. There is one for the control and one for the single item. So the control display template, it actually controls and govern how the full control is working, like the bigger box, like the web part, while the item display template, it controls a single item, how it's displayed. So for example, in this example over here, our control display template is this big box. It says that you have items are displayed horizontally and it will not have any paging, for example. Okay? While the item display template is this box only, or a single item. So in the item display template, you configured it to display picture from the item and the title of the item, and the title is overlaid on a black background like you see over here. This can be using HTML and CSS to control this structure. So this is one example, for example. This is another example where you have the control display template. It has this way of the grid display for displaying these items, and for a single item, let me change it to 10. For a single item, you said I want the item display template to display this item. You need picture of the item, what is the title, and the price of the item. Okay, and you can control this using the item display template. Okay, so how SharePoint knows this information and how it links, like for example saying I want to display the title or I want to display the price. So this is what we're going to see right now in our demo just quickly. Another thing that we're going to see in the demo is how to display this content from multiple sources. So I'll show you this scenario. So let me switch back to my laser pointer. Over here, in this scenario, I'm going to show you, we have two workspaces. Imagine in your website or intranet, you have two workspaces over here. One for energy and one for marketing. And these are two separate subsites in my intranet. And in the energy, I have collection of pages that's displayed. It's just news article pages. And in each page, you can choose where I want to publish these pages. Okay, and from a publishing side, from the end user, I created two pages, one called energy and one is called marketing. The energy page is displaying any news articles that has been published to energy, or the user has selected energy as a target destination for publishing. So what's actually happening in the energy page over here, that it's rolling up content from energy site, subsite, and the marketing subsite, but it's filtering that it's publishing to the energy keyword. And this will use a content search report. This is what we're going to use. So regardless of the location of the content itself, it will be displayed based on a tag. And the same happens in the marketing page. So we have the marketing page, and it will roll up content from both energy site and the marketing site, but only for pages related to the marketing. Okay. So I will switch back. Yes, record this. I'll switch back to my demo environment over here. So I have this is a sample intranet I use for my demos, and you can see this, for example, this news rollup. It's like the one we had on this slide. So if I edit the page and show you the configuration behind it, say edit web port. Okay. So in the page property, you have change query. This is what we're going to look at it quickly right now in a minute. But you have the total number of items, so how many items you want to display, and also the display template like we have explained right now. Let me just disable my memory. Okay. And the control display template over here, you can choose I want list was paging, or slideshow. So if, for example, these are the items, if I change this to slideshow, you can see it changed to be like the carousel model, where you have all the items are laid over and you can navigate with this item, and it moves automatically to the next item without anything. So this is basically the control template. So I change it back to list. So it's list over here. For the item, I've developed a large picture item display template. Or for example, I can have it just simply 2 lines. So 2 lines, it just displays title and maybe a piece of information from the page. So this is how you can control the display. The nice thing in the display templates that it's HTML. You don't need to learn XSL and XSLTs like in the old content query report. It's just HTML and slide sheets. Okay. So going back to the change query to show you how this is rolling up content from here. We're still working on it. So I have over here, this is my query. There is a quick mode and there is advanced mode over here. Okay. So in the quick mode, you can define it like, for example, I want items. Hopefully that you are seeing all of this. You can see it. So you can say I want items matching a content type. So items matching content type, and what is your restriction? I want within the current site collection, or even don't restrict results. And when you select don't restrict results, you can get results from anywhere in your intranet, even if it's another web application or maybe another form, as long as they are all connected to the same search service application. So I will restrict it by the current site, and you can choose what is the content type you want. So I want content type which is article page. Okay. And you can see over here that the SharePoint is showing me preview for the result to make sure that you're getting the right thing. Maybe I choose audio and I get different. So I get over here 7 results, for example. Okay. If I choose event, I get 8 results. So it's different types of results over here. Okay. And in the refiners, you can set refiners, and the refiner is basically like filters. So I want only the display, for example, I want only items that has been tagged by the location as per link. So you can add this. I have only 1 result that matches my results. Okay. Then you can test your query and you can use it, and you get your results directly over here as we have seen. Okay. So we see the flexibility of creating content and creating these queries. It's easy. Just you need to define the criteria of your query. Okay. So going back to the scenario that we explained over here, we have 2 workspaces, one for energy and one for marketing. So let me show you this one quickly. So I have my marketing workspace over here, and I have 3 pages. So these are 3 pages within my marketing. If you can see the URL, it says demo/marketing, and this is my pages library. Okay. And if I open another tab and go to my energy workspace and just view the content pages. And if you see the URL again, so it's another subsite. So we have two subsites, one for marketing and one for image. Okay. If you look at the different pages within the library itself, you can find that I have defined a field over here called publish to. And you can choose marketing or energy or marketing and energy. And this field is based on managed metadata taxonomy. So I have defined these keywords, and you can choose this page is relevant to what audience, or it should be published to which page. And you can choose one value or two values, okay, or even more if you want. Okay. Then I'll go back over here to my home page. I've defined two pages. One's called energy. So it's displaying these two items, okay, from the energy, and marketing, which displays these three items over here. And one thing you can notice, I'm not sure it will be easy, although that we are in the marketing workspace, these are marketing posts. It will not be that easy, but I can try to show you. I want to show you the URL of the page. I will copy this and put it in a notepad for you. So you can see over here that actually the page is rolled up from the energy workspace. So the page is displayed from workspace regardless of its name. It's based on the metadata. So we are displaying the page on the marketing page, but the content source is anything that's been tagged by marketing. So let's see how this is configured really. So I'm going to edit the page and edit web part. It's the same configurations. I'm going to see the query over here. So don't worry about this content type ID. This is generated automatically. I've selected I want to display article pages. So this huge scary ID is just generated automatically for you. So don't worry about this. The thing that is really important to me is this piece. So if we zoom in, you see that this is OWS tax ID publish to equal marketing, or contains the word marketing. So what's happening that I'm asking the content search workboard, please go and load all the content from the search index that has managed metadata, sorry, has managed property contains the word marketing. And if you're familiar with the search architecture, you have these managed properties. So when SharePoint Search calls your content and start creating the index, there are the metadata, which is, for example, your fields in the library or the fields in the list library. These fields are converted to be managed properties, and you can use these managed properties to filter your content or display it in whatever you want. And this is a managed property that's created automatically for you. Usually it has a standard format as a prefix. You have OWS, and since this is a managed metadata, it has the word tax ID and the name of the column, but it replaced the space with this hexadecimal. So it's published to the column is published to filtering by marketing. So this was quite easy and simple, as you have seen, filtering this document and this news article based on this metadata. So with this, following the same example, following the same concept, you can use the content search to roll up content from whatever you want, as long as it has been indexed by the search index, the search service. in your web application, you can display this content. You can do filtering. You can do filtering by any method, any managed property you have. So you can see over here, I have very long list of managed properties available over here. You can say it contains, and you can set manual value. You can have there is ready-made tokens where you can filter against, like this page, or based on the language, site locale, field within the page itself. So you can do a lot of these filtering. Even another thing is you can exclude from the search results. So what I can do, for example, I can say author does not equal, and I would put my name. Okay, and add filter. So you can say, I want to display all the pages, but please exclude any pages has been authored by Marwan, for example. Or you can exclude specific content type. Or you can, for example, if you have some information in a site that you don't want to display, you can exclude specific sites. Like, for example, I can say path. So this will be the URL of the item. I can say the path does not equal this site. I don't want to display anything from the current site. I want to roll up anything outside. So I can say does not equal this site. Okay. So hopefully this makes sense to you. And we go back quickly to our slide. So we have seen how you can publish this content using the content search report. Okay. So what's the pros and cons of the content search report? This was a nice demonstration I've seen from one of my from the Microsoft guys, how you weight your options, because as you can see over here, and what you have seen is the web part is pretty flexible. You can match it to any kind of property. It's easy to brand and edit. You don't need to be a SharePoint expert, or you don't need to be a visual designer, for example, to be able to change the look and feel of it. And you can even exclude content from it, which was not possible in Content Query web part. You couldn't exclude any piece of content in Content Query web part. However, on the other side, there is indexing latency. So only the content that has been indexed will appear in the content search report. So for example, if you added the content, added a new item now, it will not appear instantly in your content search report because it needs to be indexed first by the content search, and this is usually up to schedule. So there is a little bit of latency into this. Microsoft has introduced a new feature in 2013, which is a continuous crawling, where you can the SharePoint is continuously crawling new content, so the latency can be as small as 15 minutes or maybe less than that, but it's really based on the performance of the size of the content. So when you decide how you want to roll up content, you need to weigh your options and decide on the priorities. Okay, so let's quickly move now to the other option, which is the cross-site publishing. And cross-site publishing, basically, it's also using search, so it's heavily dependent on search. The scenario over here that you have an authoring site, and this authoring site is totally separate site collection. It's not related to your destination site, so it's totally separate site collection. And you have catalog of items. These items can be pages or list items, and it's been tagged with some metadata in the term store in the managed managed metadata service, and it has been tagged with these terms. And once the search index is catalog, you can use the cross-site publishing feature to publish this content on the destination site. How this is different from the scenario where it's using exactly search. The thing is, if we just quickly go here, the thing is, this publishing site is totally isolated from the authoring site. So even when the users access the content in the publishing site, they don't even access anything from the authoring site. This doesn't happen. they don't access anything from the authoring side. So everything is separated. In the previous scenario, when the content search is rolling up the content, but when you click on one of the items, it actually goes to the source page. But here it's totally separate, and even the user doesn't need to have permission to access this authoring site. This example can be very helpful and beneficial in public websites where you are running, for example, products websites, and you want the users to manage. You have your internal team who's managing the content, and it's published internally over the internet. Okay, so let's see a quick demo over here on the cross-site publishing. So the example over here, I have some news items. So I have 1, 2, 3 items, and each item is tagged by a keyword. And in my demo, it's a department or news category. It's a news category, and I've tagged it with finance, HR, region, UK, Europe, so different categories. Okay, so this is my managed metadata, and these are published to another site collection using the cross-site publishing. And what happens that SharePoint creates in the publishing site only just 2 pages, literally just 2 pages. One for the category, so this is a roll-up, and one for the single item. And using the search technology and the managed metadata navigation, it displays items in these 2 pages based on the navigation. So let's see how this is literally working. Switch back to my demo over here. So I have my site. It's not my site. It's another demo site. I mean, over here in the new over here, it's called catalog. So if you can see the URL /site/catalog. And I have some items, and if you add a new item, I can say this is cross-site in ESPC demo, for example, item, and you can specify the category, and I can say this is related to corporate and it's related to Europe. I have it just one value over here, so I will keep it simple for Europe. So this will be Europe, and you can select multiple values, but in my demo I've decided it's one value. So it's Europe over here, and I will just save. So in the cross-site publishing, when it's enabled, you have in list catalog settings, and you can say I want to enable this library as a catalog. It has anonymous access, and what will be the URL of the item? It will contain the title and the category, and how it's going to be filtered, what is the navigation hierarchy. It will be based on this column, which is the managed metadata, the announcement category field. Okay. So once I've done this, I have another site, and you can see over here, I have over here another site called /site/contoso. This is totally separate site collection, and in this site collection, there is a setting called Manage Catalog Connections, and you can connect to one of the existing connections. So I have my one that's already created for the news. If I click on this to see the settings, let's say the navigation hierarchy is based on this managed metadata, which is the announcement category. How the URL is going to be displayed, it's relevant to the current site, because we don't want the users to see or to know that there is another publishing site. And how the URL is going to be constructed, so I want the URL to be based on the announcement /title. Okay. So once we have done this, you will find that in my navigation over here, you will find the news categories is created automatically. So I have my news categories, corporate, finance, regional, and if I click on news categories, you will find I have roll-up of all the items. Okay, so this is all the items. You will notice that the item we've just added didn't appear yet, because it, as we said, search needs some time. There is a latency to crawl the content. So hopefully when we finish the demo, by finishing the demo, this will be working. And we see it over here. Okay. If under the news categories, if we click on regional, you'll find it's filtering. If I choose finance, I have this item. So it's filtering all these items. Okay. Let's go back to regional, for example, and let's see the URL. So the URL is /contoso/about contoso/news category/regional. And actually, this URL, we didn't create this URL, we didn't create this page. This is created automatically using the cross-site publishing feature following the managed metadata. So the structure of the managed metadata sets this structure for you. Okay. And for example, if we go to this page, so this is one item, it displays the item. So this is a content. It's not beautifully designed. It needs just some HTML editing. I didn't do this, but it displays all the information. When it was created, by who, the item ID, when it was last modified, the content itself, and the tag. Okay, and this is the page type. And if you see the URL of the page, okay, you see it's about Contoso news categories, regional, Europe, and the title. Even the URL is following this, and its friendly URL doesn't contain .aspx or pages or all items or this kind of URLs. If I go back to news categories over here, and for example, I can view the UK news. So this is related to the UK. Again, if you check the URL, it's /news categories regional /UK. So all of this is created automatically for me using the content search. If I edit the page, okay, and I will edit this web port, you will find that this web port actually it's a content search web port. You have the same settings: change query, number of items, display templates for the control and the item. If I change the query, what you will notice over here that it's configured to pull from the catalog that's over there. So you see that content catalog news result. And it says restrict the items by current and child terms. So based on the terms of navigation, which is regional and UK, it starts filtering these content based on these terms. Okay. And let me discard the checkout. Another thing that we need to look at over here is how these pages are created. So if I go to my pages library, actually I have only 4 pages, 2 of them that the default and the error page. The other 2 is what's used by the cross-site publishing. One for displaying the news categories, another one for the catalog item, the individual catalog item. So SharePoint doesn't overwhelm you with hundreds of pages, 1 page for each item. It's just 1 page for the item, 1 page for the category, and everything else is configured using search. Okay, so hopefully this scenario was clear for you. So if we see it again, just a quick reminder. So we have the items tagged by managed metadata, and if on the publishing side, this managed metadata is used as your managed navigation. As your managed navigation over here. We've seen it on the top navigation. And SharePoint created item category page and just single item page. And using content search, it changes the content in these pages based on the terms available in your managed navigation. Okay. So to be able to use these features, you need to understand specific topics, and you need to read more on these topics. So you have the content search report, which is pretty obvious that you need to understand this. And you need to learn how to configure your query, what are the different options, working with the managed properties, and how to do the filters. Also, if you are in the designer side and you do HTML, you need to understand how the display templates are working. You need to understand the structure of it, what's the control display template, what's item display template, and how you can configure this to produce pretty and nice looking content display. You need to understand the query builder, how it's building the queries, also the managed properties, what are the differences between managed properties and crawled properties, how you can configure these, how you can merge more than one crawled property in a single managed property. Understanding the cross-site publishing, you need to try to create cross-site publishing scenario by your hand. You need to get your hands dirty and try to create this scenario, and to understand the managed navigation and how it helps you to create your scenario. Okay, so a quick wrap-up over here. So we have looked at the content search report, we have seen the content site publishing scenario, we have our lovely friend, the content query report, sitting over here on the side. As we said, the content query report still exists, you can use it, it doesn't harm anything. It has its own limitations, like for example, you cannot go cross-site to roll up content, you cannot exclude content, you need to brand the content query, you still need to use XSLs and XSLT templates. Okay, so I think that's all it for now. Thanks for your time. Back to Mary for any questions.
Thank you, Marwan, for the great presentation. Now we'll deal with some questions. So to start, can you get content preview when you are doing search? Is this out of the box?
The content preview and the search, this is out of the box feature. You just need to have Office web apps installed and configured in your environment.
Thank you. Can you roll up the 2013 microblog site feeds using the content search web part in the same way you roll up the other types of lists?
I'm not sure I understand the question. If you are talking about the feeds, the news feeds in the My site, no, this cannot be rolled up because this is handled in a different way. If you are talking about blogging sites and content for within the blog sites, yes, this can be rolled up using the content search. Hopefully this answered the question.
Thank you. Can we have advanced search link next to normal search box as we see in other websites? Can this be done instead of having this web part in pages?
Yeah, you can have advanced search in your beside your search box, and you can configure the advanced search. The advanced search and the out-of-the-box advanced search report is still exists like a SharePoint anything, where you can manage your metadata and allow the user to filter by specific metadata or languages.
How do you tag content other than documents in SharePoint 2013 online? Can you tag content like discussions, pages, blog posts, and then use the content search web parts to roll up based on tags or terms from Term Store?
Yeah, you can do this. Basically, what you need to do is to define your content type. So any content in SharePoint should be based on the content type. So, for example, if a blog site, you have blog pages or blog items, you have a content type for these blog items, and you can extend this content type to add more site columns, which will be your tags, and each tag can be different. So you can have tag, for example, for countries, another tag for currencies, for categories, for destinations, whatever the tags you want, you can tag your content by this metadata. And once the SharePoint search crawls the content and start creating the index, from these tags it will create managed managed properties. Then you can use these managed properties for filtering the content or displaying these managed properties in your content search workflow. So absolutely this scenario is applicable and it can be done.
Okay, that's all the time we have for today's questions, but all questions will be answered by Marwan on a blog post. This will be published on SharePointEurope.com over the next few days. Before we go, I have one question for you all. Are you coming to Barcelona? For those of you who don't know, the European SharePoint Conference 2014 will take place from the 5th to 8th of May in beautiful Barcelona. For more information about what you can expect at Europe's largest SharePoint conference, check out our website, SharePointEurope.com. Currently, we have a range of competitive pricing options on our website. We also have some fantastic group booking offers available. The bigger your group, the bigger the discount. Check out our pricing page for more options. That's all from today's webinar. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you will join us for more great webinars this week. Goodbye.